Hey guys, welcome to Black Wolf Audio. I hope everything's going well. My name's Patrick, and we're actually going to be starting episode 5 of plugin to review. Our plugin today that we're going to be reviewing is the Waves NLS plugin. There's two versions of the plugin, but before we jump into that, I want to go ahead and explain what NLS is. So if you're like me, you probably own a home studio or a small budget studio in which you don't own a really nice fancy console that all these bigger studios might have. Now, you're probably working in a digital domain such as Pro Tools, Logic, and just using a lot of more digital hardware. With that being said, you've probably been also curious in using emulations of different consoles and such. Well, one of those plugins that are out there is going to be the NLS plugin by Waves. So essentially, what Waves did is they approached three very famous engineers who own very nice consoles. And the three different console types is going to be an SSL, an EMI, and also a Neve console. And let me go ahead and show you this right here. So when you open up the NLS channel, the first one that it normally opens up with is the Spike. Spike, his board that he owns is going to be an SSL. Mike, who owns an EMI, and then Nevo, which is actually he owns a Neve console. So the cool thing is that you're now able to go ahead and add additional harmonics that these consoles normally give to the tracks onto your tracks digitally, which is really cool. And they do some other cool features as well that we'll go into in a second. But let's go ahead and go into the basic functions. So normally when you open up NLS, the channel plugin, you're going to have to work with this knob, which is going to probably be the most important knob. This is going to be your drive. So essentially what you're doing is going to be deciding how much you want to drive your original audio into the harmonics of that channel. Right? Now, let's say if that SSL channel isn't working for you, the great thing is you can go ahead and switch over to any one of these two. So you can try the EMI, or you can try the Neve console. So the other cool feature is this, is that let's say you found a particular console that you like, but you think, hey, you know what? This channel on this console is not really sounding that great, or it's close, but it's not exactly what I want. The great thing is that you can go up to this load button and you can see here are the three consoles, and each one of the consoles has 32 channels for you to be able to choose from, which each one has slight unique differences from one another. So a nice feature to have right there. Moving down, we have the output, which essentially is going to be the volume knob, just as if you were sitting at a console. You're able to adjust how loud or how quiet you want your track coming out after being processed through the console emulation. And then next, what I want to actually do is move over to the Nls Bus. So if you worked on a console before, essentially you're going to have all these channels that get routed into the bus of the console. So Waves have also done the same thing as the channel, but with the bus of each one of those. So again, we have SSL, we have EMI, and we have the Neve. For the purposes of what I'm working on, the content that I'm working with, I decided to go ahead and use the instance of NLS channel on the guitar tracks right here, and then they're both being routed actually over here to this aux channel, in which I applied the NLS bus on it. All right. So what I'm going to do is this. I'm going to go ahead and disable these and let you just hear the guitars by themselves. Right. Now I will say this: there will be a little bit of a volume change, but though you hear the volume change, you will also be able to hear the harmonic differences that is happening. So don't think that you're getting fooled. You will also be able to clearly hear what's going on. So let's go ahead and take a listen. So already playing it through the NLS channel, yes, there's going to be a volume increase, but you can hear that they're not, the guitars are not so bright anymore, and they have a little bit of depth to them. Now, they still are a little bit dark to me, so what I wanted to go ahead and do is through those guitars some channel, I decided to add the NLS Bus, and now let's take a listen to that. And now I think those guitars sound pretty badass to me. So let's go ahead and talk about one other thing that this plugin is also capable of doing that makes it kind of unique. Essentially, you see down here on each one of the channels, you're going to see a VCA group. Now, if you also look over here on the NLS Bus, you have these different sliders over here. These are going to be the groups that you're assigning them to. So let's say I go down here to the bottom of this one where it says Group 1, and I double click. Let's call this GTR. Now, before I press enter, you can see over here on this other channel, when I press enter, it will change it to that name. So let's look. Up on GTR. All right, great. So you can see that's there. Essentially, if you had multiple versions of this plugin going across different tracks, so let's say you had your drums, bass, guitar, vocals, so on and so forth, you can assign them to a certain one. So let's pretend that this wasn't guitars and I wanted to go ahead and assign it to vocals, and vocals is on number 4. I can go ahead and go to group 4, call it Vox, and this is now Vox. So let's say if I had 5 instances of vocal. Let's say I had one main vocal and the rest were backup vocals and ad-libs, right? But I want to route them all to the same place. Let's say I wanted to adjust the volume all at once. Now, what I can do is go ahead and take it from here and actually adjust the slider here to turn down the volume of them if I wanted to. Now, you could just do this inside of Pro Tools, but it is kind of a nice feature to know that you can do it here. Also, the other advantage is this, is that if you decided that you wanted to do the same thing, or if you wanted to route them through the bus, you can actually add additional drive to this channel, or you can add drive to all the channels that you're routing through. So let's say this is guitar, bass, drums, and you felt the liveliness of the track could be kind of increased a little bit. You can go ahead and adjust your drive here on all of them, or you can do it individually on each one. The other cool thing is this. Let's say your bass track, you want to use the SSL. Let's say your guitar tracks, like here, you wanted to use the Neve, and let's say you wanted to use an EMI for vocals or effects or whatever the case may be. You can go ahead and choose from the different ones. So that's something that you're not normally able to do in the real world, where you're able to say, hey, I want this channel of this and this channel of that. It's mainly going to be like you have one board and this is what you have. Now, with the NLS, you have the luxury of being able to choose the different harmonic sounds of any one of the consoles and each one of the channels. So anyways, let's talk about what I like. Of course, I like the fact that this thing can give you some really nice harmonics, really bring some liveliness and depth to your tracks. What I don't like about it, well, to be honest, the only thing I don't really care for is actually going to be the VCA groups. Only reason why? Again, I have Pro Tools already and it can do that, and I think it's going to be a little bit easier. So there's not really a need for me to use this. Now, though I could add drive individually to each one of these groups, I kind of take care of that here, and I rather do it specifically on each element. So let's say if I had drums on this first one here, opposed to wanting to add drive across the entire drums frequency, I would just do it to the sections that I felt that it needed, such as just the snare, or just overheads, or just the toms, or just the kick. Or let's say if I wanted to adjust them in different ways, let's say a little bit more for the snare and a little bit less for the kick, I could do so. So to this, it doesn't make, for me, I wouldn't really see the need of using this, but still a nice feature to have. Overall, this plugin, let's take a look here. If you give me a second, I'm actually going to jump over to the Waves website. All right, guys, so we're here at the Waves website, and as you can see here, the Waves NLS actually costs $300. So it is a little bit of an investment. Now, with that being said, it is still a great plugin. I recommend everyone that you should get it, but $300 is a lot, and I know a place where you can get it for cheaper. So let's go ahead and take a look. If you guys go to Plugin Discount and you sign up an account with them, no, I am not sponsored by them. I just buy a lot of my plugins through them. You can see that it's on sale right now for $257. So you're talking about a $40 difference there. That could be a whole other plugin that you can be buying. So if you really want this plugin, I would suggest that you, again, sign up an account with plugindiscounts.com, pick it up there. Or the other thing that you can do is this. When I actually bought this plugin, I didn't buy it through Plugin Discount. What I actually did is I waited for a sale to happen, which Waves has all the time, and which I think I picked it up for probably $130, which definitely was a steal. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys have liked this review. If you did, do me a favor, give me a like, hit subscribe, and stay tuned for the next episode of Plugin to Review.